back in the day, and they won. They did the job. They stopped the Soviet Union invasion of Afghanistan, and that we didn't hold our end to the bargain. And they wonder why people hate us. They could at least supplied food. They did the job. They stopped the world's most, either first or second most powerful army in their tracks. And can't even, basically stay with their obligations, can't provide funding, food. I mean, that's not the moral thing to do. And ever since Kennedy, was killed, I think our country's been on the downhill. I mean, General Smedley Butler, after World War II, was approached for a fascist takeover of the United States, and they asked him to lead. And he refused because he's a great guy. All it takes is one unstable guy to accept, and we're in that state if we're not there in stealth without us even being completely aware of it already. I mean, look at the voting machines, Romney owning them, Ron Paul getting screwed every election, not being mentioned in mainstream media despite finishing second, first. I mean, it was a 48% tie prior to the primaries, whether you would vote for Obama or Paul. So if the Republicans really wanted to win, why didn't they have Ron Paul? I mean, he won the debates. They were clapping, chanting doctor. I mean, every stadium. Romney couldn't even fill 30 chairs in Cowboy Stadium. And Ron Paul, packed house everywhere he went. At university, he had the youth. He had the people to be out and active. Instead, we're put on watch lists. Now, this is what gets me. As fusion centers and FEMA camps, okay? Besides, Obamacare and the government's, NSA leaking and the government's dependency on basically causing unstable situations in foreign countries and posing as saviors and coming in has gotten us this far. But the documents have made not only the world, but everyone here aware. We're starting to realize that both systems are the same. And these FEMA camps scare me because fusion centers have political profile Ron Paul supporters, African Americans, people with NRA stickers. It could be a political bumper sticker. You could say the wrong keyword on the phone, and bam, you're on the terrorist list. They threw kids on the terrorist list and checked them and wouldn't let their mother stay with them and wouldn't let them fly, like 5-year-olds. This is reported by a news broadcast, I believe it was in New Jersey or New York, and it's ridiculous. A 5-year-old terrorist, come on. And here's the thing: these FEMA camps, to me, sound like a good idea, but how during Hurricane Katrina could we not even basically take care of the people in need? What they did is they went to the rich neighborhoods and did gun confiscation. They were basically going to shoot at people looting and things like that, but they didn't really do much to save lives. They put people in the Superdome, which almost collapsed. They were unprepared. The trailers they had ended up having chemicals and made people sick. And we're supposed to trust these guys with a plan? I mean, listen to this. This is in Jesse Ventura's 63 Documents book. And our first, going back to this fascism thing, if we have a Bill of Rights, if we have any amendments, the First Amendment, freedom of speech, right? We have that these days. The Patriot Act says the government is free to monitor religious and political institutions without any suspicion of criminal activity. The government can also prosecute libertarians or oath keepers on any record, and journalists for related to just independent journalists for terror investigations. Our Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable search and seizure. Well, the Patriot Act says the government can search and seize Americans' papers and effects without probable cause. I mean, that right there. So the Patriot Act, to me, was a major downfall of this country. And we'll keep going. The Sixth Amendment. You now do not have really the right to attorney. If you get thrown in prison, you could be detained, and you don't like to get Boston bomber. You could be just thrown away, shut up, and you can't get your side out. And that's not what America is. Whether he's guilty or not, at least let him have a trial by jury in public. but that's thrown out the window too. So, getting back to all of our problems, Bill H.R. 645. Well, actually, I want to step back. So they got these camps, right? 9/11 is what initiated the Patriot Act. And 9/11, I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't tell you what happened. But what I can tell you is I don't believe that a guy in a cave who supposedly it's a fact. He had a dialysis machine. Last time I checked, caves don't have electricity. I mean, we probably spent $20 billion bombing caves, and we found him in an allies nation, Pakistan, living in a house because he had a dialysis machine. But, I mean, honest to God, this is the fact that they've had false flags before makes me think that they knew, because I've seen pilots simulate that they can't hit the Pentagon. And I just don't see, it looks like a controlled demolition to me. Like I said, my thoughts and prayers go out to the victims. But I think the government knew. I mean, George Bush was reading to kids. You're telling me you can't get up? Dick Cheney gives a stand-down order. I mean, this is all on record. And there's, why stand-down order? I mean, we could at least save the second tower from getting hit. We could have saved the Pentagon. I just don't understand how people could rationally understand that there's a stand-down order, not wonder why, or if they knew and let it happen. Then I couldn't believe when I found out about Operation Northwoods. Basically, they had this plan back in the 70s to get Fidel Castro. They were going to try to hijack planes, fly them into important infrastructure here in America, and blame Cuba as a pretext to go to war. And to be honest with you, that sounds very similar to 9/11. And if they were already drawing this up in the 70s, what is to stop them now? Especially with drones. I mean, my gosh, it could have been a drone, like a remote control plane. Because, like I said, don't buy the official story. Just like I don't buy the Warren Commission's report on County. I don't buy it. And with the FEMA camp bill, I mean, the co-sponsor didn't even know. And my question is, like, would the military actually fire on citizens? Well, I asked, why now is the government ordering millions of rounds of hollow point bullets? These are against the Geneva Code. They violate UN regulations. So we can't use them in war. So and then they're saying target practice. Why would you use hollow point bullets, which you can't shoot in war or in like police, activity, and they're the most expensive in target practice? It makes no sense. There has to be some behind it. They're also stockpiling iodine because most people don't like to cover this either because Fukushima, because of radiation, but they don't want to bring it out there and say, oh, the fish could be contaminated, the waters. I mean, InfoWars picked up spikes across of the West Coast. I mean, no one's talking about it, and it's ridiculous. But also, we had the Gulf of Tonkin. They shot at whales. It was an accident. There's no attack. And in Vietnam, our worst, most bloodiest, our lowest hour was due to nothing. There's so many people lost their lives over an event that didn't happen. We were never attacked. I just don't get it. Go back to the World War I. The Lusitania was blown up by a cigarette that was accidentally put in an ammo depot. And that's what drew us into World War I. I'm not going to say Pearl Harbor was, but I find it hard to believe that nobody saw it on radar coming like these big... And the actual planes that were supposed to come that day on radar was nowhere near the size of the Japanese fleet. And I'm not saying that it is, but it wouldn't shock me, put it that way. So I want to get into a little bit about what we could do and my success and the people's success and the military success in stopping the war in Syria. As I said, on August 30th, I woke up and I did the petition. And basically what it stated is that the government should, or the president should seek the approval of Congress prior to any military action in Syria. because if he refuses to do this, it would throw off the checks and balances system as we know it, thus giving him the power to go to war without Congress and turning him into a dictator. Put it out there, and so he actually addressed my petition. I have an article right here. This is from CNS News. It's by Susan Jones. She put out on Twitter, and it states that there are title is 4 petitions on White House website oppose U.S. action in Syria. And mine is the 4th. It says the most recent, posted on August 30th, has 325 signatures. It went up, I want to say, into a couple thousand before he had actually addressed it. This petition says the president should seek approval of the U.S. Congress. And I had 122 lawmakers take my petition, sign it, and give it to the president themselves with their own handwritten, requests, notes, comments. Unbelievable. I mean, and then he comes out, on the White House website, they say that his speech addressed my petition, right? But I, after, get kicked off the website. I could not go on, so I chose to start a new one as Pete Wichert Jr., because I am Pete Wichert and a Pete Wichert Jr., and I kept fighting. And another Huffington Post picked up article, President Obama, don't strike Syria without congressional approval. It goes on to talk about my petition. It also, it's surprising for the Huffington Post that they're saying exactly what my petition says, that it's just turning the war powers resolution, over on its head. It's giving him dictatorial power. And they go and link my petition here. And that's when I got my political contacts. I really don't feel comfortable discussing anything that was said on, on the phone, like specifically, but I will tell you that was probably the big one right there that got me to the position where I was, every article I've written for InfoWars, there's like breaking news. I spoke with Jesse Ventura, I have his email. I've never called him personally. Rand Paul, and plenty of people that actually, are in the libertarian movement, and Ted Cruz signed it. I mean, I don't really like to go into any personal things, but the one guy is Jesse Ventura. And in 2016, this is a guy, if we want real change, we got to get him in office, okay? Because he is against wars. He is willing to adjust his policy. He's all about not raising money, the opposite of what it is. He wants to get rid of corporate sponsorship in politics. He wants to get rid of the IRS and have a small tax on like goods to replace that. Because the IRS is used to harass people politically more than it is actually to collect taxes these days, let me tell you. And if we elect a Republican, we're not going to get any change. That's a sad thing. And any Republicans out there, call in, explain what you could do that's different, what you have done, what Romney would have done. Nothing, okay? I'm telling you that right now, because the collaboration of the government, military, and corporations is fascism. So they're just a puppet. They're a figure. And the bank bailouts, prove that. And I believe Romney would have done the same thing. Now, Obamacare, and even I think that was an extra step by the charismatic leader to push government health care. I mean, they want control of the weather, of course. They're going to want control of health care. And Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Act, gives the government the control of health care. So they have that, wars. The NSA spy grid, which has everything to do with Chicago. If you're a local listener, Milwaukee and Ainsley, Lawrence, right on the entrance and exit to the Kennedy, you have cameras unlisted, not speed cameras, retina scanning capability. It goes to the Chicago Office of Emergency Management, which then ties that in to businesses. They could scan your license plate. They could match your retinas up with your driver's license picture and basically tell everywhere you went. And I had a girl in my neighborhood abducted right underneath one. And they could have tracked him,